The leadership of DF Malan High School in Bellville, Cape Town, has rejected a call from parents to hold a referendum over its controversial name. In May this year, the school announced the school will soon no longer be named after the apartheid Prime Minister in order to become more inclusive. It added that it has already held consultations with all affected parties, but disgruntled parents formed a Facebook page called Proudly DF Malan. In a post yesterday, they said, and to quote, "We are not going to stand back and watch our beautiful school taken down by a leftist transformation agenda," end quote. So how does a school still bear such a name in 2021, and who holds the ultimate power to change it? Well, let's find out from Dr. Anthea Cereseto, from the CEO of the School Governing Body Foundation. Thank you so much, Dr. Cereseto, for your time. What happens in a situation like this?
Well, schools are a microcosm of society. So whatever is happening in society happens in schools. And just as we've had name changes of streets and cities, so schools have been under pressure to examine their names. And public schools are community schools, and under the governance of the school governing body, they can consider name changes. But they must consult extensively with stakeholders, which I believe, from what I've gathered, they have done in this particular instance. And it's happened in many places, in many parts of the country. There have been these consultations and changes. Communities in the immediate school environment must be able to identify themselves with the name of the school. And ultimately, once a school chooses a name, it would then go through a process within an education department, and ultimately the MEC for education would be the person to say, yes, we approve the name change. Once they are assured that there has been a process of broad consultation with those in the school and those outside of the school in the immediate community. Now, you asked the question, how can such a name exist right now in our country? Well, that is the question. And schools were asked many years ago, and some of their own accords did so. They examined their names. And the Gauteng Department of Education gave guidelines to schools 5 years or so ago, which were quite helpful. They said the names can't be derogatory when translated. We've got quite a number of schools in the past, African name schools, where the names were not exactly inspirational for learners. And so in translation, one realizes these things are not good words, and so they changed names. Also, they can't be offensive to any stakeholder grouping, because a school has to be an inclusive place. Everybody works together within the school. So the name of the school can't be a means of dividing schools. Social cohesion really begins with children at school from a young age. So we want names that would include rather than divide. And obviously, when the names are associated with apartheid and apartheid principles, you can understand that that would be problematic for a very large number of people in the community of the school and others. And if it's called a leftist agenda, well, so be it. It is our constitutional agenda, because advice to schools would be to make sure that your name is justified in terms of the values of the Constitution, which would be respect for human dignity, equality, freedom. And it should be unique. And they've also suggested that it should be inspirational and linked to academic ideals. However, unique is a difficult thing to achieve. We've got schools called Bright Sparks, which is an applicable name for young children, possibly, but it's not a unique name. But it indicates that we have light and enthusiasm and energy to learn in children. It's a more embracive name.
All right, Doctor.
And then...
Doctor, we have to move on to another story, and I appreciate your time, Dr. Cereseto. We'll watch the story because it must be very hurtful for many people walking into those school halls with a name like DF Malan, despite its proud history of achievements in some departments.